Am I gonna get into my radio host voice? Okay. So so we can talk about what you talk about with your neighbor.
I'm surprised you're not even jealous, because I talked about those things that we usually talk, like you and I talk about, like anything, and you didn't even react. You don't love me anymore?
I guess not. I didn't realize it until now, but yeah, I guess the love is gone, so sorry.
You asshole.
All right. So, welcome to the Artem and Mila podcast, episode 2, where we talk about the different topics that me and Mila usually talk about, that people, I think about anyway, and we think are interesting. So on this podcast, we're going to kick things off with something people love to hate, which is the world of online dating. And this is a hot topic. It seems like most people are meeting their worse and better halves online these days, and with mixed results. So Mila and I often brush on this topic, and I think we'll have a chance to really crack the nut, so to speak, on it today.
Actually, it's not completely like that, because we usually talk about literally anything, and eventually we just end up talking about sex and exes. This is how it works.
All conversations lead to sex and exes.
It's the same as just being online and surfing the internet, and like you watch the news, and then you scroll through some newsfeed on your social media, and then bam, it's 5 a.m. and you're watching a pig in labor.
Pig in labor.
Like, how did that happen?
Maybe we should name this thing Sexes and Exes. That sounds like a great name for a podcast.
Or maybe Pig in Labor.
Pig in Labor. That's like a very Slovenian podcast. That's like very Eastern Europe. Like, the pig is again in labor. Rejoice. I don't know that our Western audience will be as excited about that title as we are. But yeah, let's talk about sexes and exes, as we often do. So, I mean, I've been in the online dating scene since before it was cool, when it was still like, you know, shady people are the only people that date online, where sites like hotornot.com was the way that people got together, and myspace.com was the way that people got together. This is like before OkCupid. This is like when like Match.com and Chemistry.com were just getting rolling. So
wait a second. Did you say shady or shitty?
Both. But I mean, it was considered shady, right? People.
If it's both, I think it's called Craigslist.
Believe it or not, people used to find people on Craigslist. That used to happen until people would get stabbed. People showed up in other people's houses and got stabbed. Literally, this happened. I think in Boston, some psycho did this, and after that, people are like, oh, maybe I shouldn't like go to a random stranger's house without any other knowledge. So that kind of put an end to the whole Craigslist mess.
People still manage to find each other on Craigslist as well. It's just the type of people they find there is psychos. I mean, unless you're looking for one, but Craigslist in that case it's fine. Yeah, in that case, you've reached the target. You got your goal.
It's such a like dark part of the dating world. Like, there is a personal section in Craigslist, but it's so dark. It's like the dark web of online dating, right? So you have like the regular internet, and then you have like the secret dark web where all the pedophilia and drugs hang out. Like, Craigslist is the dark web of online dating. That's like where the fringe of the fringe, like people who wear masks when they hang out together. Like, that's the kind of thing that goes on Craigslist. So yeah, let's not touch like Craigslist is way off like the scale. So I think, you know, let's focus on some of the more mainstream stuff, like, for example, OkCupid. So I sent you that article earlier this week because I thought it was really on point with some of the things we talked about before. And the article was basically a study a statistical study of the quantity of responses and the relative attractiveness of men on OkCupid. Or was it OkCupid or was it Tinder? I think it was
both. It doesn't really matter.
Both,
I mean, they're pretty much the same.
Yeah, and the
you know that OkCupid is basically Tinder rehab.
Is that what it is? How so? How's OkCupid Tinder rehab? Why?
Because Mila says so.
Must be true. Yeah, I mean, so if you're done with Tinder, like, oh my God, no more Tinder, your place away from Tinder is OkCupid. Like, you go.
Well, yeah, sort of.
That's the methadone. Is it the methadone of Tinder?
Of heroin? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a rehab for OkCupid, and that rehab is called Bumble. I have no idea how you can stop using Bumble. Maybe you just go back to Craigslist to close the circle of these crazy things.
I don't
online dating.
Want to touch Craigslist. It's one of those things when once you touch it, you can never untouch it. But I use Bumble a little bit. I can't say I'm too impressed with Bumble, but we'll get into that. So, yeah. So the article says basically the following. It says, and what I've talked about with you in any case. Like, remember we talked about, and you're like, well, you know, when like a guy messages me, like, I kind of don't want to see just a hi, hello, like, or hi, how are you, or all the extremely typical bullshit that you see guys open with in online dating. And you kind of want to see something thoughtful or something funny, or you want to, you want some substance in your message.
I remember that. I had that opinion, but since about recently I changed my mind, and I changed my mind completely. I'm not even using online dating anymore. But when I did that recently, to be honest, I don't really care what they say. Like, unless it's not a dick picture, they can say hi, how are you? Like, I think I became more like a man. I just look at the picture and how they look. I just care about the looks.
What's worse?
I mean, later.
Hi, what's
later,
up, or a dick pic? Which one is worse?
Well, it depends on a dick pic. I mean, most of them. I mean, looking at those, at all those penises, like, what I thought was, like, I can't really, like, you can only use them for the sake of love. It can be something like, oh my God, I want it now. Like, I want it. It's just, like, how do you live like that, dude? Like, seriously. I'm so sorry for you. It's mean, but it's true.
But it's interesting that you had a turnaround that you don't really care that you're looking at pics. Because I think it's like so we talked about the fact that the experience of online dating for a girl versus for a guy are two very, very different experiences, because basically what the analysis showed in that article is that when you ask a man to kind of rank a girl by attractiveness, their ranks will spread through the scale. So they'll find some 1, some 2, some 3, some 4, some 5, some 6, some 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s. Like, they will kind of have a spread of attractiveness across girls. Whereas, and that spread will be fairly even. You'll have like roughly the same number of girls in each rating category, which kind of means that men are really discerning. They're sort of kind of connoisseurs, right? It's like being able to rate a wine on a 10-point scale, right? Or this wine is like a 9.4 and this wine is like an 8.5. Whereas when it comes to women, what you find is there's like extremely few guys who hit the 8, 9, or 10 mark, like, less than collectively 10% or like 5%.
Right, because you can,
else,
because a girl, like, you can't really see it, the text's information in online dating. That's why you can't really give a guy an 9 or a 10 right away.
You can't see their bank account.
Exactly.
So by looks alone, right? By looks alone, the way that the women would rate the guys, like on Tinder or whatever, is very, very skewed. Like, most guys will get horrible ratings, and also very inconsistent. Like, when a girl thought, like, some girls will think a guy's a 2, and another girl will think a guy's a 7. So, like, very inconsistent, and then very skewed towards the lower end. Like, basically, most girls think, according to the study, most girls think that most guys are fugly as hell. And then like just very, very few guys are really, really hot. Whereas when it comes to guys, it's like a very kind of spread, like even spread thing. Which again, to me, it's more like men are more sensitive to little differences in attractiveness, and they can discern like this girl's a 7 and this girl's an 8, and there's a general level of consistency in that assessment. Whereas for girls, it seems like, I hate to say this, but it seems like girls don't know what the hell they're doing when they're judging men by physical appearance. It seems like they're just like, they have no idea. It's like me trying to judge a wine, right? I'm like this wine sucks, this wine sucks, this wine is great, and it's a $5
about the appearance.
wine.
I'm telling you, because it's not just about the looks. Like, okay, you have a pretty face, show me your tax return. So girls don't just judge about attractiveness, like the face. It's not just about that. And I just had a crazy idea, like how fun it would be to be able to rate someone in online dating. You know, like with Uber. Like he picks me up pretty fast. Like this guy, he picked me up pretty fast. It didn't take him long to get to me. He didn't annoy me with all the boring talking. And the ride was smooth, so it's 5 stars. And then you just pass that information to all the other users of that online dating, and they can see those stars and rating, and they're like, oh, okay.
I do believe there was a site that did that. There was a site many years ago, like 10 years ago, that I was on that did that. You literally had, like, reviews for guys and their dates. You literally could read, like, you know, he took me on a great date, we had a great time, blah, 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 like under the profile you can see reviews of the guy's dates. I don't remember what the site was called, but it clearly did not survive because it's not.
Yeah, I guess it's no longer. Like, I guess that website is no longer with us.
Yeah, there's something about that idea. Like practically, it sounds like that it's something useful, but
it's really awful. No, it's really awful. It's fun to think about that, but it's really awful.
It's like productizing people.
It's like a person is not a movie. You can't really rely on an opinion of some people who watched the movie and didn't like it for some reason, and then they just write that angry comment because they had no one to watch that movie with. You know.
It goes back to the whole.
But the movie itself can be really great.
It goes back to the idea that finding chemistry with someone is not a project. It's not a goal that you can sequentially attain. Meaning, like in any project, you have a goal, and then you can define the steps to reach that goal, and then you work on achieving those steps as milestones. That's a typical project, and that's your roadmap to getting to the end of that project. And in this case, the end of the project is true love. But the reality is that love is chaotic. There's no function to get you from A to B for love. There are factors that are way out of anyone's control that completely derail the whole thing, and that's why you see people getting together that you would never think would get together, or that's why you see people who seem to be perfect for each other not really finding that level of attraction. You see people who date one type of person and are completely in love with them, and then a year later they're dating a completely opposite person and they're completely in love with them. So there's or you see like these, picture perfect couples who are crazy in love one day and then a couple of years later they're divorced or whatever. So it's complete chaos when it comes to attraction between two people, and so you can't really projectize it.
Yeah, that's true. And I just remember, like, you talking about love. For some reason, I remember, like, getting back to that rating thing. I remember that there's actually a website, like in Amsterdam, there's a website for rating prostitutes. Like every time yeah, really, like it literally exists. It's like a forum with it's like Yelp, but for hookers.
Wow. We got there that quickly.
Like,
we got there that quickly.
Yeah. Look, you told me we only have 30 minutes, so. We gotta squeeze all the information.
We've gotta squeeze all the hookers in. All right, let's go.
I told you, eventually we just end up talking about sex, and this time it's just hookers.
All right.
I don't know why.
Enough.
Like, why not? Hookers is for people.
They're true. That's like we can have that as another topic. That's a big topic.
Yeah,
and
it's a big topic.
We can talk a lot about it. But okay, yeah. I mean, fair. So yeah. So you have those sites that rate hookers. But back in OkCupid land, right? So we agree. Like it's pretty chaotic that you can't projectize love, but people still want to. They just don't see another way. Like that's how people think. They're trained to think of these ways because in regular life, the way you get a good grade, the way you get a good job, the way you perform well at a job, the way you make money, the way you do anything is this projectized approach that's effective for most things that are not chaotic. There's not that many things in life today that are chaotic for us, but love is certainly one of those things. So when we look at the OkCupid experience, right, and the fact that attraction for women is so chaotic versus for men it's pretty uniform, the experience as a result, the experience of a man and a woman on Cupid or Tinder or whatever is very, very, very different. So when a guy goes on, let's say Tinder or Cupid, right? A guy basically, like even like a good-looking guy or a decent-looking guy, not like the hottest guy in the world, but someone who's like objectively, like anywhere, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Or 5, 6, 7, right? Like a decent-looking guy who generally can get a girl. The experience of this guy in these online sites is they're messaging like hundreds of girls, and they'll only hear back from maybe less than a dozen of them. And of those that message back, and we talked about this, of those that message back, most of those are just like will not continue on in any form in a conversation or dating or anything. And only like 1 or 2 of those, fewer than a dozen, may result in a conversation, and of which maybe one will result in a date. So the level of investment for like a decent guy on one of these online dating sites is like really, really heavy. And it's really like thankless also, because it's like, girls want to hear something unique or they want to see something that's not, hi, how are you? But a guy sitting there inventing creative things to say to hundreds of girls with no good response or with any response is very demoralizing. Can you imagine, like, you said something interesting about a girl's profile, you spent like 5 minutes thinking about it, and your chances are like 99% or higher that comment will go nowhere. It will go into the trash. It will go into like a black hole. So as a result, guys are basically trained by this system not to value initial contact at all. Like initial contact is completely worthless because the chance of that contact succeeding or leading to anything, let alone a date, is like less than 1 in 100. So that's the experience of a guy.
Well, no wonder I always said that online dating is basically like shopping in bulk. It's like shopping at Costco. You shop in bulk, and you have a return policy of 45 days to return that girl back online if you don't like her.
You just buy everything and then you just bring back whatever you end up using.
It's like exactly. It's like shopping in bulk. You just try to get everything you see and you think you like it, and then when you go back home with all that stuff with you, they're like, yeah, maybe I don't need this dress, or maybe I can survive without that other pack of beers. Actually, no, the beers is a bad example, but I don't know, something else like the bacon. It can expire in like 2 days. Why did I take that much? So I'll just return it.
Sure. And girls want to be shopped for like a diamond ring. They want to be like, you're the one ring that I want in the world, and I will do anything to get this ring. That's how girls want it to be. But the reality is you're coming in and give me all of the rings. Give me all your rings. And I will return almost all of them. Probably all of them.
Yeah, girls want to shop for a diamond ring, and in return they manage to find a guy who takes their own earrings and leaves.
So tell me a little bit about the experience of a girl in online dating. Like, what is it like for a girl, like a decent looking girl on OkCupid? Is it, like, are you getting like a bazillion trillion messages every minute? Like, what is your process in like surviving these sites?
Well, I'm not really using them anymore, but when I did, it's a really a lot of messages once you go online, because apparently you just appear in that search engine system, and so that everybody can see your profile. I guess that's how it works. And you get like really a lot of messages. Some of them are stupid, some of them are inappropriate. There are some guys who just want sex, and they're looking for like to be dominant or something, or vice versa, they want a dominatrix girl to just play that sex game. So I got that, like I got a lot of messages like that. And yeah, I got those dick pictures, but not like actual dick pictures. It was like those dudes just put a dick picture as a profile picture. And they just texted me, and eventually I just saw that picture because I looked at their profile, and I'm like, oh, really? I mean, at some point, I told you this story. At some point, I actually, like, a guy texted me, what do you think? Basically bragging about his dick. And by that time, there were so many of those pictures that I suggested, like, I decided to tell the guy what's wrong with the picture. Like from the, like seriously, not what's wrong with his penis, but what was wrong with the picture, because the picture itself was kind of bad. Like the lighting was not.
The lighting was all off.
It was just bad, and the angle that he took, that selfie, was not the best one to take a dick picture, because it just made his dick smaller, to look smaller, because of that angle. And I just saw all of that, and I was like, listen, dude, if you really want to impress a girl with that kind of picture, first of all, put your pants on. I mean, that will really impress a girl. And I actually told him what was wrong with the picture. And guess what? He texted me back like, oh, really? Thanks. Can I take another one and show you, and you can you tell me if it's good enough? I'm like,
suddenly you're the dick pic expert.
Sure. Yeah. I'm like, sure, but in that case, I'll probably have to charge you, like per minute or something, or per message.
Yeah, I mean, at that point.
Because now I'm actually consulting you.
Wow, that's hilarious. Have you ever gone out with a guy who sent you a dick picture?
I did, but first we went out, and then we started dating, and then he sent me a dick picture. So that doesn't count.
Like dick pics during dating is
Oh,
okay?
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Seriously.
In fact, I'm the one who engages them to do that. I love that.
Crazy. Yeah?
Well,
and like, what is the occasion? Like, what's an occasion to send a girl a dick pic when you're dating? Like, what's a good occasion to do that? Like a happy birthday dick pic, or like?
Well, it's not like you need an excuse. And by the way, like a happy birthday, a dick pic shouldn't be considered as a present. Because that's it's like giving a birthday card as a present.
It's like flowers. It's like flowers, right? You should just be able to give flowers for no reason.
It's not a present itself, exactly.
Why on my birthday?
By the way, speaking about that, something I've noticed about dick pictures is that guys do not. It should usually what they do is it's either their face or their dick. It never comes together like two in one in a picture.
Is that bad?
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. It's just something that I've noticed. Like, I've never met a guy who would take a picture of his dick, including his face in that picture.
It's kind of a hard angle to maneuver, no? You kind of
No, it's not about that. It's they do that on purpose. I don't know. Maybe they just don't want to be. Maybe they have trouble, like, they don't want their face to be associated with that dick, or vice versa.
That's true. That's a good point.
It's like, I don't know, maybe, it's sort of a embarrassment or something. Like, for example, girls.
We're in the depths of dick pic etiquette. Yes.
Yeah, maybe it's some sort of etiquette. In fact, I think it should be, some sort of, etiquette, like a world, internationally accepted way to send a dick picture. Like a
I didn't realize
way.
this is so.
By the way, By the way, speaking about a polite, oh my god, I can talk about this for hours. I think it is so unpolite to send, a dick picture or any nude picture. It's not really about, dicks, it's just about nude pictures. It is so unpolite to send an old nude picture. It should always be exclusive. It's not like you send in if every time I got a, old picture that was taken 5 months ago or something, I was like, seriously, why am I in this message blast? I didn't sign up for it. I want an exclusive picture.
So that's a real time picture, you mean?
Well, yeah. At least that was taken the same date. I mean, it doesn't have to be 5 minutes. The picture that was taken 5 minutes ago, but at least it should say, I don't know, this year. I'm kidding. Just it should be really sort of live.
At what point in the
otherwise
dating
it's really
process?
Impolite.
At what point in the dating process is it okay for the guy to send the girl a dick pic?
In the dating process?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I think there's no unique answer to that because every girl can decide that for herself. But again, it shouldn't be something like I got a present for you. Bam. Seriously, it's not a present.
Okay.
Is there a diamond there?
How do you know if a girl is if it's a good idea to send the girl a dick pic? Because clearly you're a very you're a dick pic proponent. But I don't know that every girl is. I don't know that that's something every girl share. What if a girl is really skeevy or skeeved out by dick pics? How do you if a guy asked you on the first date, so what do you think about dick pics, Mila? What would you tell him?
So if you're dating someone, I think there's a good answer to that. In case you don't. Unless you ask the girl, what do you think about dick picture? When is it appropriate to send you a dick picture? Will you hate me after that? Unless you're asking that question, to figure out whether it's a good idea to send a dick picture is once she has seen that particular dick alive, you can send a dick picture. I think that's the rule.
I think that's a good idea. I think that could be a rule, right? So
actually, there's a little star in any contract that you read. A note, a footnote. Once she has seen the dick live and she keeps saying it, you can send her a dick picture. Because if she has seen the dick live and she just stopped responding to your messages, do not send a dick picture. I mean, that's a bad idea.
That's not going to prompt her to be I forgot.
Exactly. It's not going to work like that.
I see. Okay.
So dick picture, the bottom line is dick pictures should always be wanted.
Amen. Let's toast to that. Let's toast to no unwanted dick pics.
No unsolicited dick pictures.
I think that's an assumed in the Tinder agreement. This was great, but let's get back to the whole idea of this online dating, the online dating experience. And that's really the thing that I think is so interesting, because the online dating experience is very, very different for a guy and for a girl. And basically, an average dude's online dating experience is a black hole where a lot of time goes and nothing happens. That's kind of an average guy, literally, and it's super demoralizing because you would be messaging dozens and dozens of girls and you would hear nothing back. And then once in a blue moon, maybe a girl will match you or, in Tinder or message you back in OkCupid or something like that. And as I understand, you
talk about your experience a little bit.
That is my experience. That's the experience. The experience is from when you start out, you're optimistic. You're I found a cute girl. That's it. Must be true love. We're getting married soon and having 2.5 kids. I'm going to write her this romantic poetry about what we're going to name our children. And you spend like, a whole lot of time doing that. And then you're like, okay, it's done. I'm ready for love. And nothing happens. And you're like, oh, that's odd. So you find another girl on, let's say, Cupid, and you kind of like, you tone it down a little bit, but you're still optimistic, and nothing happens. You're like, well, is anything going to happen at all? So you kind of like hi, hello, like 100 girls, and still nothing happens. And then you begin to suspect. You begin to suspect that the way this thing works is not how you thought it works. You thought you were going to find this one girl who you're just going to be gaga over, write her, she'll write back something cute, you'll muster up the courage to ask her out, you go on a fancy romantical date, walk on the beach along the something, and next thing you know, you're honeymooning. And online dating is the exact opposite of that. There's none of that happens. Almost every girl that you like, you will never ever hear from. Most of the girls you will hear from, you will literally hear from once, with like some kind of a short reply, or even if it's not a short, even a regular reply, like they'll just reply once and then they will disappear. And so that is the experience of the average dude in online dating. It's basically like massive fishing for contact, and that contact happens exceedingly low percentage at a time, like less than several percent. And then when it does happen, it's kind of rare that it would lead to an actual date. So it's kind of a very demoralizing experience for most guys. Now, I know that there are, men out there who are like super attractive physically, and their pics look hot, and most girls will find them attractive and will want to message them. And so there's like that small fraction of guys' experience that's different. But then, those guys face a different kind of a problem, spoiled for choice. At that point, they're just swimming in like very attractive women all day long. There is no reason why they would pick any one of them at any point in time. And so then their experience is another kind of bad, where they're just kind of serially going through as many girls as they'd like, as often as they'd like, and they have zero impetus, like zero incentives to stick with any one girl. Like there's always 100 girls who are slamming them with messages when they're on these dates. And at that point, it's like the hotness doesn't even matter. Like it doesn't matter how hot the girl is, because they have as hot or hotter on the ready, already lined up for dates. So it's hard to find like a good middle ground in these online dating apps. So it's sort of like it's feast or famine, right? I guess that's the motto, right? Feast or famine. It's like either you're getting all the girls, and at that point it's, well, you don't even know what to choose, so you don't choose, you just take them all. Or it's famine, where like you're getting nothing, and the few girls you are getting, you're not that excited about, especially since maybe in the real world.
Wait a second. What do you mean take them all? Like, it's not a shampoo promotion at a drugstore that you take them all.
Well, I mean, if you have 100 like 10s that are messaging you and are interested in like meeting you, why would you pick one 10 over another 10? Why would you limit yourself to 110 if you can have 7 10s a week?
True. I guess that's why people prefer not to be in a couple anymore, because they never get enough of any 10 or 9 or 8 that they can the new one that they can meet.
Well, that's true for the really hot guys, right? Not the regular guy. Like, this is the really, like, the hot guy who gets a lot of responses. That's their experience. But those are the only guys that get consistent messages from girls. And girls don't want to deal with anyone else. So girls only want those guys who have no chance of establishing a relationship with them online. Those are the only guys that girls go for. It's the irony of ironies. It's like, girls, they will always write like, I just want a serious relationship. Like they want to develop something. They want to get to know a person. They want to have a connection with a person. But the only person they're willing to respond to is the one person who's not
ready for a relationship at all.
They're ready, but they don't care. They're ready all day long, but why? Why would they stop at one girl? Even if they're ready, why would they stop? You know what I mean? It's like, it sucks. It's a weird, yeah.
It sucks. By the way, before we switch to any other topic, or before we look way too far from what you said about profiles and everything, did it ever occur to you that maybe all of those girls that never responded, or just sent you a response that was really short, maybe all of them were just dudes who changed their profile into a girl's profile just to see what kind of pitch line they might use. Because, once you have a girl's profile, you get messages from different guys. And maybe they were just trying to make their own research or something. And that's why those profiles of girls, in quoted girls' profiles, maybe that's why they never responded.
At this point, I'm convinced that all of those girls are actually dudes that are fishing for messages. All of them. The hundreds and hundreds of girls, every one of them that did not respond is a dude in hiding. I am sure of this. This is guaranteed now.
Or maybe the tech guys at those online dating apps, they just created those fake profiles to make the account to make the account of people who are using the app bigger, so that they can sell more advertising. Because, I don't know about Tinder, but OkCupid started to sell advertising, and oh my god, it sucks. It's so annoying.
I mean, it's possible that some profiles are fake. It's possible that some profiles are dudes in disguise. But I think I don't think it's likely that it's the overwhelming majority of them. I think the overwhelming majority is well, if you think about the experience of an average girl on one of these sites, it makes sense why they behave this way. Because the behavior of an average girl on this site is their inbox is flooded with hi hellos from hundreds of guys. My inbox is never flooded with anything. It's never flooded with anything. No, and the girls that once in a blue moon a girl will write you, usually it's not a girl you're interested in. That's the reality, right? Usually it's not someone that you would write back to, as rare as that happens, that you receive a message. So given that experience on the girl side, it makes sense why the girl won't even respond to. Girls have shown me snapshots. I don't know if you have shown me, I don't remember, but I've seen snapshots of girls' inboxes where they show me, most of their messages remain unread just because there's so many of them. They don't want to, waste their time reading their messages. At this point, they just go through the mini profile picture and figure things out that way.
Yeah, I had that experience, but actually I think I had stages of figuring out who that person is who texted me. So of course the first impression was the profile picture, and then I actually read the whole profile, unless it was a really long description of the guy managed to write a really long description of who he is, and they're just psycho. I never texted back to those guys when it's a novel. It's a fucking novel.
So you read every message that was sent to you on Cupid?
It's not I read it, but I opened them to be able to see the profile. And if I liked the profile, at first I looked at the picture and then I read the profile. Exception, I never read a really long description of a dude because it's just too much. Too much. And then if I like that, because you obviously can have the first impression of the person you don't know through the profile. So if there were no red flags to me, I responded.
Okay.
But it's just
you're nicer than you're more not nicer, but you're more open to interaction.
I think I am nicer than I sound in general.
Maybe.
I think most of the time people just think that I'm a cynical bitch, but in reality I'm just a person who like things simple and kind of perfect in a way. Ideal. Well, not perfect, ideal. I'm an idealist, I think.
I mean, can you be both? Can you be like a cynical bitch and like a nice idealist person at the same time?
No, I think it's impossible. I think it's impossible. Yeah. It's either one.
What about the Tinder experience? Like,
you tell me, I never used it.
You have never used Tinder?
Ever.
Ever?
Ever.
Wow. Why not?
Well, first of all, I don't know. And second of all, I believe it was you who told me that you have to turn on your location to be able to even swipe for people.
That's true.
For people, on people. How do you? What's the right preposition for swiping?
I don't think there is. You just swipe people.
Swipe people. Sounds like trashing people, which in fact is kind of true. So anyway,
I mean, it's peril, yeah.
yeah. It's the kind of synonym. So anyway, I think it was you who told me about location, and every time when I was on OkCupid, and every time I turned on my location, there were just guys like from Connecticut and Staten Island and just anywhere but in Manhattan. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that because, like, seriously, what's the point? So I turned on my location, and I guess that's why I never went on Tinder.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought you can limit the distance that for the guys that you see. I don't know how it works exactly.
It doesn't really matter because I'm not using that shit anymore. It's pretty shitty. Like, I mean, my overall experience right now is, well, yeah. I guess the whole dating process is pretty shitty. It involves a lot
I didn't know that you never used Tinder. I didn't know that. For some reason, I thought that you had Tinder. That's interesting.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I should get a medal or something for that.
At this point, you probably could.
The only person who never used Tinder in her life.
That's good. Maybe let's keep it that way. Like, that's a special thing. That's like a virginity of
yeah, I was just about to say, it sounds like not using drugs, like not even trying drugs. Like, you've never used Tinder? Really? It's like you've never smoked pot? Really?
Like, Mila, save it for marriage. Save it for your husband.
Yes.
Honey, I've never Tindered anyone, and you will be first that I Tinder. Wow, yeah, I did not. That's good. I think that's good. Tinder is as much. I mean, it's the same kind of a time sink as any other kind of online dating. Although I have to say, like, I got away from all online dating, and when I do pop back on the scene, it's usually with Tinder, just because I think Tinder is like the easiest one. It's like the most like accessible drug, if you will, right? It's like you don't have to do a lot of registration. You don't have to do a lot of anything. The profile is really easy. The mechanism is really easy, and it's on your phone, and that's it. Swipe, 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 and you're done. I think that's what it is. It's kind of like puts it all in your hand, and it's sort of the easiest one to operate. Lowest barrier to creating to getting on the whole online dating map from all the other ones.
So remind me, I remember we talked about that like a long time ago, but I kind of forgot because we talked a lot. Remind me, what was your weirdest experience with the girls in online dating? Like starting from messaging and up to like meeting them and maybe dating them.
I mean, this is gonna sound bad,
twice, like meeting them twice, because that's a lot for you.
That's true. That is a lot. So first, it's gonna sound bad because like I don't have like one experience that comes to mind because it's been, I don't know, on and off 15 years. Like obviously, not when I had girlfriends or whatever, but it's over. It's about 15 years of online dating. So like going through 15 years of history and like trying to figure out what was weirdest or what was whatever. I don't remember most of it. I don't remember like 99% of it. Through all of the different
how about just Tinder?
Sites and
not 15 years of online dating, but just Tinder.
Well, on Tinder, nothing weird happens because it's so simple and mechanical. It's not an easy question for me to answer, so I have to figure out like which of the girls I met from Tinder. The bottom line is like I don't think I haven't had a monstrosity of I've never had a guy show up instead of a girl, right? That's never happened to me. I've never had a girl show up like with a pet. Oh, I can. Well, okay. So I did have one girl show up with her baby. Like that happened once. So
At the first date.
First date, yeah. I went. Yeah. Truth be told, she did warn me. It wasn't like, it wasn't a surprise. Like, oh, by the way, I'm bringing. Like, oh, by the way, here's my baby too. Like, no, she was like, well, I have a kid and I have to watch my kid. If we go on a date, I'd have to bring him. And I'm like, I'm desperate, so I'm going to be like, yeah, whatever. Bring the kid. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out on the spot, what to do with the kid. So yeah, that was kind of a weird first date. Probably one of my top 10 weirdest first dates. But again, like it wasn't dismal. It was just kind of, you had a little kid who just did what little kids do. Like, you ran around, played with stuff and while we talked. There was no second date on my volition that time because this is all too much. But that did happen. So yeah, I guess that's a weird date.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I don't think I've had like anything like extremely weird or generally people aren't like crazy or if they are so crazy, I probably won't ask them out on a date. Right? So like by the time you're out on a date with me, there's been some minimal filtering happening.
How do you figure out that the person is crazy? How do you filter? Like what are your red flags? You know what red flags are, right?
They're like blue flags but different color.
Well, the red flag is like a sign that you don't like something about the person, and you should not ignore that, because if you do, you'll just end up all crying and drunk. But that's just my red flags.
That you know what? It's like true. They do say like that's a red flag, but isn't that like terrible? Like what if people what if someone really likes a red flag? Like that's kind of being a hater to all the other colored flags, isn't it? Like why can't we say that's a purple flag? Like that's my purple flag. Like the purple flag is terrible.
Well, because red, it's about the color. Because red grabs your attention, and that's why when you drive and you stop to the red light, you don't stop to green light.
Why? Well,
red is like a.
Really? Other colors don't grab your attention? Only red?
I mean, no, they all do. It's just like every color has a certain message. But don't change the subject. Do not change the subject.
No, I think it's a fair question. It's like, why are we all like so ganged up against red and red flags? Like, why not be more, egalitarian with our colors? And
okay, you can pick the color. It's up to you. You can pick the color. What's your color?
Why? Whatever. Let's leave it with red flags. So yeah, I mean, what are my red flags? Well, first of all, like, I don't, again, like, when matches do happen, it's not that often, right? So it's not like I'm going through hundreds of girls and being like, well, most of you are weird or red flagged, so not gonna do, right? There's a few matches that you get. The few matches that you do get, the red flag, I think my red flags is like if a girl says something ridiculously stupid. Like, for example, like I would ask a girl, like, hey, do you wanna hang out tomorrow night? And I don't hear, and like we've been kind of chatting back and forth, right? And so the last thing I asked her was like, do you want to hang out tomorrow night, another night, whatever? And I don't hear from her for like a long time, for like a day, right? So in a day, I'll write her another note. By the way, bad idea, generally not a good idea to do this, but whatever the circumstance, maybe like I was low on time and like I only had a few windows of opportunity to meet this girl. So I would write her another note, and I would be like, so are you like deep in thought about my question? To which, after a few hours, she would reply, I generally don't think deeply about anything. that's like a red flag right there. Like, that's an answer that I will not respond to, and I will not ask this girl out on an actual date. Like, that, I will I will retract my original date offer as a result of that response, because that is like a girl basically,
literally admitting that she's stupid.
Like, not admitting, but like flaunting her, like, just like flaunting her, I don't know, like not being a person of any substance, which is not something that I like. I mean, like, different strokes for different folks. Maybe some people, and not maybe, definitely a lot of people are just cool with a lot of surface stuff, but that just doesn't happen to be my interest, and that's something that can get a girl disqualified with me. So that's more like a disqualifier. If you want to call it a red flag, you could. What's another red flag? Like, red flags are when a girl takes all the pictures in the girl's profile are all exactly the same. They all are like from one angle, like it's like one angle of her face, and it's always that zoom on her face, and it's just
like
different
the good side
of her face. The girl that's like only has one good side of her face in every picture. Like, that's a red flag.
Really?
Oh yeah, huge, because that says so much to me. That says a lot. Actually, girls who just zoom in on the face and like don't show any other part of their body in the picture, that's a red flag too. But not for the reason that you might think. It's not because like, oh, I think she's probably fat, so I don't want. No, it tells me that the girl is not confident. It tells me that the girl is not proud of the way she looks. She doesn't like the way she looks. That's a big red flag, because that's the biggest sort of mistake that girls make, is like not liking the way they look because they think there's a right way to look. If girls only knew how many men go bonkers for larger sized girls, girls with rounder faces, girls with narrower faces, tall girls, short girls. There's men that go for all sorts of things, that go crazy for all sorts of things. But there's a fad of the moment where, okay, the fad of the last few decades has been you have to be skinny. And so like the larger sized girls bought into this myth, and the problem is not that they're larger size. The problem is that they are not confident about how they look, and they think it's bad that they look a certain way. So they'll like doctor up their images so you can't see how they truly look. Or like, for example, in Asia, right? There's a big fad in Asia right now for elongated, skinny faces. The girls are doing surgeries to make their faces look more elongated, like an oval, like a stretched oval.
How do they do that?
They do that by taking fat and bone out of their cheekbones.
Oh my God. No, actually, you know what? I don't want to know. No, I don't want to know. I changed my mind. I don't want to know how they do that.
And out of their jaws, right? So they file up their jaws, and they file up it's a plastic surgery. But basically the end result of filing up those ends of the face is that it makes the face look thinner, like more narrow. Because for whatever reason, someone over the last, and this is recent, this is over the last decade, somebody decided that round faces are bad and narrow faces are good. I can tell you personally, I prefer rounder faces. I think this is hilarious that these girls do this, because I know that I'm attracted to rounder faces. I found that about myself. Like, I will look at two faces, and if a girl has a narrower face, I will be less attracted to that face generally. Because these are girls who are like mutilating themselves to look a certain way that they picked up on some social signals that that's the right way to look, when that's actually going to turn off a bunch of dudes. That's going to turn off a bunch of men from finding them attractive. So it's that. So when you see a girl trying to look a particular way, like, or a particular style in her pics, that's a girl trying to emulate what she sees in magazines, and that's not a girl who's confident about her own look, has her own sense of style, is proud of the way that she is. And that's a very healthy mindset. And when I don't see that, I will automatically, quote unquote, deduct points for not having a healthy mindset. That's a very important thing. So yeah, so that's a red flag. Like, if a girl doesn't appear confident, that's a red flag.
Well, no wonder you're single, because there aren't so many confident girls. They're like, I don't know, 12?
Yeah, that's the reason I'm single. I'm looking for my dozen, for my very special dozen of girls. Yeah, I mean that's certainly one aspect of it. I just thought of another red flag, and another red flag that I find on girls' profiles is if they're like very aggressive towards men or aggressive towards anyone. Like there will be profiles on girls that are kind of like lashing out against the kind of experience they've had in online dating. So, for example, there'll be a profile that says something similar to, "Look, men, I'm tired of getting these one-night stand offers. Make sure you don't talk to me about sex in your messages. And I'm here only for serious relationships. And if you're not wearing a shirt, then you definitely shouldn't message me. And if you're a lefty, you better get the hell off my profile. And if you have long hair, that's not going to cut it. And blah, 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 blah." Like these kinds of things. That's a big red flag for me, right? Because again, that's a sign of like a mental state of a girl. That to me is not a person who I want to spend time with. Like this kind of a very nasty, negative, agitated human being. That's an automatic left swipe. Hilariously, these are the same girls that always look like that. There's this typical look that you find in like magazines. Like they all have that look. They found that look in magazines that I guess a lot of men will swipe right on and then want sex with, and then they're like, "Why are these men all want sex with me?" Even though I look like one of the sluts in the magazine.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Like that's actually a certain type of girls. I guess they take a picture in a swimming suit, and then they complain about like, "Oh my God, man only wants sex from me." Well, hello, you're like naked, like almost naked in that picture. So you want to be treated like an Einstein or something? Just change the picture, for God's sakes. Change the message that you send in with the picture.
I think you have to be like bigger minded about the whole thing. It doesn't matter what, it's like, okay, yeah, the pictures will entice that, but in the end of the day, men are men, and a lot of men will behave this way, and there's nothing stopping them from doing that, and they're kind of naturally incentive.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the fact that men want sex. It's okay. It's great, actually. In fact, like, if I had to talk about myself, I would be offended if men would reject not to have sex with me, like if they rejected me and they said, no, thank you. Like, I would be offended in a way.
I mean,
not that I would care, but if they're like.
This is
it's a big
topic, and we only have like less than 10 minutes, but it's actually a really great topic. I definitely want to talk to you about this. Kind of the idea of like, why is it bad for the first message from a guy to be like, let's have lots of sex? That's terrible. But when a girl likes a guy, like that's a great thing. Like that's what she wants. She wants a guy who wants to have a lot of sex with her. So
I guess that's an official announcement of the next episode.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, we'll talk about, why, like, what is that split, right? What is that difference? Why is it bad to just open with, hey, let's have some sex?
By the way, speaking about those angry profiles, I saw a couple of profiles of men writing some angry stuff. And that was usually, well, obviously it wasn't about sex, it was about like, that was a clear message for, girls, or like gold diggers. Like, hello, you gold diggers or sluts. I'm not gonna buy you dinner, so do not swipe right on me. I'm only looking for nice, cute, down-to-earth girls. Something like that.
And by the way, like the male version of these kinds of girls, right?
Exactly. This is the male version of it. And by the way, something I personally noticed, like I'm not sure if it's true or not, but just something I've noticed. Every time a man mentions on his dating profile or just says it out loud that he's pretty down-to-earth guy and that's what he wants in a girl, usually he's pretty stingy. That's just something I noticed.
Means stingy? That's interesting. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Apparently, being down to earth means equals stingy.
Interesting.
My God, I have the whole my God, I have a whole chapter in the new book about that. You'll read it.
Okay. About stinginess or about being down to earth, or about both?
Both. Both.
All right. I look forward to that chapter. Let's chat about some other stuff. Let's throw in the last 5-8 minutes that we have, the fact that your ex-boyfriend wanted to pick me up from the airport.
Oh yeah. Well,
how would that come up? Like, how did that come up in conversation? So you guys are just chatting away. He messages you right out of nowhere or whatever. And you're like, oh yeah, my friend is coming down to the city and to your city. And he's like, oh great. So I'm going to go to the airport and pick him up and drive him where he has to go. Like, how does that happen? Like, how did that occur?
Well, we actually just keep in touch because, and that's, to be honest, that's the only, ex that I actually talk to. Because, you know my opinion about that. Like, why would I even talk to my ex? Why would I talk to someone who broke my heart? So, in this case, I was the one who broke his heart, so we're friends.
So it's fine. So you can talk.
And, yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, he's over that. He's been over that, since like forever. Well, anyway, and I told you, he's a good person and all of that. And, when you told me that you're gonna be in that city and, like, where my ex lives, and I was trying to help you find like maybe having a contact number of a taxi service, like a local taxi service, unless there's a problem with Uber. It's always nice to have another option just in case. And he was the first person I thought about. And I asked him about that, and he was like, why do you need a taxi? Like, are you in town? Like, I can meet you at the airport. I'm like, no, I'm not in town, but my good friend is. He was like, okay, fine, I can meet him at the airport. No problem.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be like a French movie, like a really crazy French movie. Well, any French movie is kind of crazy, but this would be a really crazy one if you were my boyfriend, like an actual boyfriend, and my ex would meet you.
That would be fun. Do you think he would still offer? Do you think he would still offer to me if I were his boyfriend?
Look, I don't know. He never tried to figure out what kind of relationship I have with you. And, you can call a friend like any dude, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
And, usually if it's just friendship, it's like you kind of have to say that, at least a couple of times, just a friend is just a friend.
Right.
Just a friend.
I think legally 3 times you have to say, yes.
Yeah, I guess so, but people don't really believe it anyway. So. Like after repeating it 3 times, after being completely legit, I just stopped telling that, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, you can think whatever, that I just fuck all.
What if he actually wanted to kill me? Is it possible that he just wanted to murder me?
Why would he do that?
Because he's a jealous ex-boyfriend.
No, look, if he wanted to do something to me, he would probably have to kill me, not you.
That's not how people think. That's way too logical. People are crazy.
Well, yeah, but I don't think he would kill you. Rape you? Well, yeah. I mean, you're pretty cute.
Thanks.
Yeah, but that was crazy. I mean, you know what would be even crazier? And that would be a real French movie. If you were my actual boyfriend now, and my ex-boyfriend turned out to be gay, I mean, that would be crazy. If he picked you up at the airport. I mean, that's the story. That's the perfect story for raping.
Somehow, yeah. Why do all these stories end in me getting raped? Like, how's that? There must be another way. There must be another way.
I just want you to get laid, sweetie.
I mean, I appreciate it.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm almost at a point where I might need that. Where I'll take anything. Bring on the ex-boyfriend. No.
Yeah, that was a crazy story.
But no. Yeah, no, I actually, it's funny because you said that. You're like, hey, he can pick you up. But like, it's weird, right? Because when you first say it, it sounds like a cool, kind of an easy, like, oh, this is convenient. Like, that was my first thought. It's like, okay, like, this is convenient. Like, I'm just gonna get picked up at the airport. Doo-doo-doo. And then, like, 2 seconds later, I'm like, wait a second. Like,
so you thought it's too good to be true?
No,
that it can be that easy?
It's not that it's too good to, I don't know if I can use the too good to be true on this one. I would rather use the, well, won't this be really awkward, like, thing. I'd rather use that. I think that was my thought. At first I was like, oh, that's convenient, new city, I don't really know anything. And wouldn't it be nice somebody just boom, swoops me off my feet, like, but, carries me into their car, like, and drives me to where I need to go. But then I'm like, no, wait a second, that's gonna be super awkward. Like, I don't know this dude. Like, why is this dude picking me up?
I hope you realize that he's probably subscribed to this talk.
Well, I wish him well. And I hope he doesn't rape me. That's the best I can do right now.
Maybe we should interview him and ask the person of the actual event, like, why did you decide to suggest
he could be our first guest. He could be our first podcast guest.
The guest, yeah, exactly.
Maybe in a future episode we'll give him to voice his side of the story and give him an opportunity to voice his side of the story and well,
actually, to be honest, I was a little surprised when he suggested, because it's not like I asked him to pick you up at the airport. He was the one who suggested. I'm like, why would you do that? I mean, we're not that big of friends. I mean, we keep in touch, but it's not like we're best friends ever. He was like, why not? And I believe my reaction was like, are you out of people you know in the city, so you just want to talk to someone new? And he's like, well, yeah, something like that.
Dude? How bored are you? Like, how much free time do you have that you just want to go to airports, drive random men to where they need to go? Like, is that, oh, what are you doing today? Oh, I don't know. I couldn't think of anything. So I'm just going to go to the airport, pick up some dude, and drop him off there to be for free.
And on that note, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for joining. This was the Artem and Mila podcast. Do something productive with your time. Don't go to airports to pick up random dudes you don't know. If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe. You can tweet at us at TheAMTalk. You can find us on YouTube or SoundCloud by searching for Artem and Mila. As always, tell your friends, tell your relatives, don't tell your mama. Until next time.